From her films Selma to 13th to When They See Us, Ava DuVernay didn't just direct films, she exposed broken systems, reclaimed stolen narratives, and demanded justice with every frame. Before Hollywood ever took notice, Ava DuVernay was already rewriting the rules, becoming the first black woman to direct a $100 million film and the first to earn an Oscar nomination for a documentary. The red carpets, the awards, the Hollywood acclaim, it all came later. Let's return to where it all began. Ava grew up between two worlds, urban energy and Southern heritage. Ava Marie DuVernay was born on August 24th, 1972, in Long Beach, California, but her roots ran deeper than the city skyline. She was raised in Compton, California. Growing up, Ava was surrounded by the quiet strength of family. Ava's mother, a school teacher, made sure her daughter not only read books, but asked questions, challenged narratives, and saw herself in the pages of history. Although Ava DuVernay grew up in California with her family, she spent every summer in Lowndes County, Alabama, where her father's family lived for generations. DuVernay's father recalled to her of watching the historic Civil Rights March over the Edmund Pettus Bridge in the neighboring town of Selma, Alabama. In addition, it was in those childhood summers, with her extended family, listening to stories told on porches of walking the streets where the civil rights movement marched forward, that Ava felt the power of history, not just as memory but as legacy, not just as the past but as a story still being written. Those summers spent in Lowndes County, Alabama, and the lessons at home in Linwood, California, planted seeds of purpose. Ava carried those stories, those questions, and that sense of legacy with her as she stepped into the next chapter of her life. Beginning in 1986, Ava DuVernay attended St. Joseph High School in Lakewood, California. It was a private, all-girls Catholic school. Ava stood out, not just for her intelligence, but for her voice. She was curious, bold, determined. Even then, she was already shaping her identity as a storyteller. During those high school years, Ava bore witness to one of the most painful injustices of her generation, the case of the Central Park Five.
Is my mom here?
It's just us. You and us. Where did you see the lady?
One lady.
In 1989, 5 teenagers, 4 Black and 1 of Hispanic descent, were wrongfully accused and convicted of raping a white jogger in New York City, a case built on coerced confessions and racial bias. Ava watched as the media vilified the boys and the justice system failed them. The moment left a lasting impression. It opened her eyes to the dangerous power of narrative and planted the seeds for the true stories of injustice she would one day bring to the screen. After graduating high school in 1990, Ava DuVernay enrolled at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, where she majored in English and African American Studies. Her college years unfolded during a volatile chapter in American history. In 1991, just a year into her studies, the world watched in horror as video footage surfaced of Rodney King, an unarmed Black man, being viciously beaten by 4 white LAPD officers. The officers were later acquitted in 1992, setting off the Los Angeles uprising and exposing the deep racial wounds festering in the city and across the nation. At UCLA, Ava wasn't just studying literature and Black culture. She was witnessing firsthand how systemic racism shaped the world around her. These experiences deepened her awareness of how media could either uphold injustice or challenge it. She began to see storytelling as a powerful tool, one that could reinforce harmful stereotypes or dismantle them entirely. That understanding was sharpened again in 1994 with the chilling case of Susan Smith, a white woman in South Carolina who reported that her 2 sons had been kidnapped by an unknown Black man in a carjacking.
Okay, I was stopped at a red light, and just out of nowhere, this Black guy came up and just opened the door and jumped in the car.
Susan Smith has been arrested and will be charged with 2 counts of murder in connection with the deaths of her children.
Once again, the media had amplified a false and racially charged narrative without question, without balance, and without accountability. For Ava DuVernay, these moments were not abstract headlines. They were shaping her sense of justice, truth, and responsibility. They revealed the devastating cost of false storytelling and the urgent need for voices that could tell fuller, fairer, and more humane stories about Black lives. After graduating from UCLA in 1995 with a degree in English and African American Studies, Ava DuVernay began her career not in front of the camera, but behind the scenes, as a junior staffer in the publicity department at 20th Century Fox. It wasn't a glamorous role, but it was an invaluable education. From that vantage point, Ava observed how movies were marketed, how stories were packaged, and how influence flowed through the entertainment industry. This was her training ground, quietly shaping her understanding of the power of narrative. Also, that same year, 1995, Ava DuVernay witnessed history unfold on a national scale. On October 16, 1995, Ava witnessed nearly 1 million Black men gathered on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. for the Million Man March, a call for unity, responsibility, and renewal in the Black community. It became one of the largest demonstrations of Black solidarity in American history. The spirit of that moment, of reclaiming voice and overcoming systemic racism, was in the air. Ava wasn't physically there, but the spirit of the march resonated deeply with her. It echoed the very purpose she was beginning to forge for herself: to reclaim voice, challenge injustice, and one day tell stories of her own. That spirit stayed with Ava. It simmered beneath the surface during her years in public relations as she continued to quietly study how the industry worked, how stories were shaped, sold, and seen. Ava DuVernay never lost sight of the deeper calling sparked by the march to uplift truth, center Black voices, and challenge injustice through the power of storytelling. After years of promoting other people's visions, Ava stepped behind the camera herself. She used her savings and the support of a dedicated crew to bring her vision to life. And in 2008, Ava DuVernay made her directorial debut with This Is the Life, a gripping documentary chronicling the rise of the spoken word movement born out of a small venue in South Central Los Angeles. More than a film, it was a declaration. Ava DuVernay had found her voice. After declaring her voice with power, Ava returned with something more tender, more personal. In 2010, she poured her heart into her first feature film, I Will Follow, a quiet, emotional story inspired by the death of her aunt. Following the release of I Will Follow, in 2011, Ava DuVernay founded Array, an independent film distribution collective company dedicated to amplifying the voices of underrepresented filmmakers, particularly women and people of color. With Array's mission underway and her voice as a filmmaker growing clearer, Ava didn't slow down. Just 1 year later, Ava DuVernay stepped behind the camera again, this time to direct her film Middle of Nowhere, 2012, the story of a woman torn between loyalty and freedom while her husband is incarcerated. The film won Ava DuVernay the Best Director award at Sundance, making her the first Black woman to receive that honor. Hollywood began to take notice. What came next changed everything.
What I do know is nonviolent. What I need to know right now, what's Martin Luther King about to do next?
Mr. President, Dr. King is here.
In 2014, Ava DuVernay directed Selma, a historical drama chronicling Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s campaign for voting rights. The film was powerful and unflinching, earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture, along with many other honors, and catapulting DuVernay into the global spotlight. But she wasn't done confronting injustice. In 2016, Ava DuVernay released the searing documentary 13th, which traced the evolution of slavery into modern mass incarceration.
Then they said, we're gonna take you to the precinct, and most likely we're gonna let you go home, and then I never went home.
Named after the 13th Amendment, the film earned Ava DuVernay an Oscar nomination for Best Documentary Feature, cementing her place as one of the most vital voices in nonfiction storytelling. But DuVernay wasn't content to stay in one lane. After exposing harsh truths in 13th, she turned toward wonder, stepping into the world of fantasy, imagination, and historic firsts.
Who are you?
We are in search of warriors.
Your father has done an extraordinary thing, but he may be in danger.
My father's alive.
We believe he is, and the only one who can find him is you.
You're kidding.
Do I look like I'm kidding?
In 2018, Ava DuVernay made history again, becoming the first Black woman to direct a $100 million film with A Wrinkle in Time, a bold, fantastical reimagining of the children's novel. Though met with mixed reviews, the film broke ground in representation and opportunity. But even amid the stars, Ava never lost sight of the real-world pain of systemic racism so often ignored. After inviting audiences to dream, DuVernay returned with a story that forced us to confront the nightmare lived by 5 innocent boys.
I didn't see any lady.
Kevin!
I didn't see any lady.
I want to see my son right now, right now.
Whatever they said I did, I didn't.
In 2019, Ava shook the world again with the Netflix limited series When They See Us, based on the true story of the Central Park Five Black and brown boys wrongfully convicted of raping a white woman. The series was gut-wrenching and humanizing, earning 16 Emmy nominations and transforming public perception of the case. But Ava DuVernay wasn't finished. While When They See Us gripped the nation with its unflinching truth, she expanded the conversation even further, turning her lens to another story rooted in race, justice, and the wounds that divide us.
Open up that register. You trouble?
No, I'm married. I have a daughter. Are you okay? Let me see.
Stop! Leave me alone!
I'm a doctor, okay?
In 2019, Ava DuVernay also directed The Red Line, a series that explores race, policing, and justice in America through deeply personal stories. After exploring the wounds of race and policing in The Red Line, DuVernay turned inward and outward. What came in 2023 was deeply personal, intellectually daring, and globally resonant.
Everywhere.
Ava returned with perhaps her most personal and ambitious film yet, Origin, inspired by cast by Isabel Wilkerson. The film follows a writer uncovering hidden caste systems across the US, India, and Nazi Germany. A bold blend of history, memoir, and truth. Origin premiered at Venice to a standing ovation. Ava DuVernay has always used her voice to inspire change and speak truth. In her own words, she reflects on the journey that has shaped her work, her mission, and the legacy she's building.
Where they came from, where are they going, what's their connection? Sometimes I'll even ask, and people want to talk, and it may not be anything that's directly related to the work that you're writing that day, but that energy from people, that stuff is kind of like, seeds on fertile ground that helps with the writing.
Ava DuVernay's legacy isn't just in the film she's directed, but in the barriers she's broken and the voices she's uplifted. She has truly changed the narrative. Thank you for watching History's Gifted. Please like, subscribe, and share this video.